What is up, guys? Delboy here. So I'm sure some of you guys are aware Anthony Yarde is going to be fighting on the Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury undercard. His opponent has been named, by the way. He is fighting a guy by the name of Israel Doofus. What a name, right? He's rated the 142nd best light heavyweight in the world. We were never expecting a good opponent, so it is what it is. But the interesting thing was, Anthony Yarde was confronted by fellow domestic light heavyweight Hosea Burton. Hosea Burton is in the States because he is supporting Tyson Fury. I believe he's a distant cousin of Tyson Fury, something like that. And he's there to support Fury. And he bumped into Anthony Yarde. And essentially, Hosea Burton called him out. Face to face, man to man, he asked Yarde, providing he gets through this fight, which he should do, that is the fight Hosea Burton wants next. He wants to fight Anthony Yarde, and Anthony Yarde half-heartedly agreed, but, you know, he never really looked too confident with the confrontation, and he was itching to get out of there, which is a little bit disappointing in my opinion. But he did half-heartedly agree to fight Hosea Burton next. You know, I think it's a good move on Burton's part, you know, publicly putting it on Anthony Yarde. You know, he's been saying he wants this fight for a long time now. And I do genuinely believe him. I think he wants the fight. I think he's seen something that he feels he can exploit. And yeah, he's saying all the right things. And as for Anthony Yarde, like I said, I don't think he handled the confrontation too well. You know, he wasn't really boisterous. He wasn't really out there. You know, he seemed a bit just reluctant to really trade barbs. Hosea Burton and his team basically said that, you know, Anthony Yarde had no heart. As we know, Anthony Yarde's kind of catchphrase is lions in the camp, and Hosea Burton said that Yarde is like the lion on the Wizard of Oz, you know, no heart. And yeah, man, Yarde surprised me with his reaction. I felt he'd kind of be getting into the back and forth, you know, getting into the banter, but no, he didn't seem interested, and, you know, he didn't respond to it well at all. Really, really surprising, really disappointing. I mean, Yarde's PR has been horrible, you know. Some of the interviews this guy's carried out, full of contradictions. Same with Tundai Ajayi, you know, coming out with absolute nonsense, to be quite frank. You know, they're essentially saying they are above British level. They don't need to fight anybody at British level because they are highly rated within the WBO, and that Yarde is the highest rated British light heavyweight on BoxRec. That's their reasoning for not fighting at British level. But, you know, they're boasting about their high world rankings. When world title shots get offered, they refuse to fight for world titles as well. And by the way, I'm not saying Anthony Yarde should be fighting for world titles, by no means. But, you know, when you duck British level and your reasoning is that you're highly ranked in the world governing bodies, or one of them at least, and then you turn down a world title shot, it sounds stupid. It sounds like at that point you're just ducking your domestic rivals. Now, again, I appreciate this guy has had very little amateur background. Fair enough. But if you are going to sell all this hype, then, you know, fans rightly expect step-ups, and we've not had them. Anthony Yarde has been going out there saying, you know, he hits harder than the likes of Kovalev, Beterbiev, Stevenson. Well, fight Hosea Burton then, for Christ's sake. And by the way, I think he will beat Hosea Burton. I think he's a better fighter. I think he's more talented, more athletically gifted, bigger puncher, just a better fighter. But, you know, at least Hosea Burton will come to fight. At least he brings something different to the table. At least he brings ambition. You know, he's a tall, lanky guy who can maybe pose a couple of problems. It's a great fight for Yarde's development. You know, fighting another 4 or 5 bin men, what's that going to do for him? I've mentioned this in the past, but, you know, is Anthony Yarde getting the right learning fights? Is he learning in these type of fights? Has Anthony Yarde improved in the last sort of 12 months? Would you say so? I think it's hard to tell, to be quite honest. I do believe in stagnation of fighters. I think if a fighter fights at a certain level for too long, you know, bad habits can develop, and, you know, certain flaws will not get ironed out. And I do worry that that will happen to Anthony Yarde, because we've not had a step up now for a little while. To me, 2018 has been a bit wasted. To be quite honest, he's fought nobody. I mean, he fought Nikolai Sejloka back in December 2017, and I felt that was a good start to start slowly stepping up. You know, Sejloka, durable guy, has fought at a decent level. I felt that was a good step up at the time, and I felt after that fight he would gradually raise the level in competition. But it's got worse since then. I don't think there's any reason for Anthony Yarde to be avoiding Hosea Burton, to be quite frank. And again, I appreciate the lack of amateur background, but you know, when you sell a certain narrative, fans will expect a step up. And rightly so. Again, I'm not asking for the world. I'm not saying Yarde needs to fight Beterbiev. I'm not saying Yarde needs to fight Eladia Alvarez. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm asking for is for you to fight somebody who is somewhat relevant, who has a bit of ambition, and who will tell us a bit more about Anthony Yarde. It's not really much to ask for, you know, guys like Hosea Burton, Ricky Summers, Bob Ajisafe, you know, people like that. No issue with those fights. But fight somebody, for Christ's sake. Fight somebody who isn't in the ring for just a payday. I don't think the matchmaking for Yarde has been good at all. I'm not sure what he's learned, and by the way, I'm not hating on Yarde. I think he's a very good talent, considering the guy started boxing late, considering he didn't have much of an amateur background. I think the level of talent this guy possesses is, you know, unique, to be quite honest. Most people who started in his position would be a lot further behind, you know. Anthony Yarde is clearly a quick learner. He clearly has a lot going for him. He's explosive. He's got very quick hands for a light heavyweight. You know, he's quite athletically gifted. He's got a lot going for him. You know, good punch variety. I'm not saying he sucks. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. All I'm saying is I want to see gradual step-ups. I want to see this guy get the right fights at the right time. And can we honestly say he's getting that right now? I cannot see how we can say that, to be quite honest. Fair enough, I'm not in the gym. I'm not seeing his sparring sessions. You know, I might be wrong, but something doesn't seem right with Anthony Yarde. Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe he's chinny. Maybe he's got a bad gas tank, which I do suspect. You know, maybe his heart is lacking. I don't know what it is, but maybe his team knows something we don't. And again, I want to reiterate, I don't expect this guy to fight Kovalev or Stevenson. I'm not asking for that. You know, we just want to see him take a step up. That's all. Share your thoughts below. Peace.